today I'm going to talk about some of our new features that have been happening in Confluence and JIRA 4.4. So today it's very much a 4-day, so JIRA 4.4 and Confluence 4 has just been released today. So it's I've entitled my talk Ambassadors Go Forth, because this ambassador program is something that we're just started fairly recently as well. So it's quite a new, exciting kind of things happening this year. So what I'm going to try and do is not go into all the details of all the new features, because we'll be here all day. That's other people are going to be talking about lots of really interesting things that are happening throughout the day. So I'm going to kind of give you a flavour about what I've been doing as part of the ambassador role, and what the ambassador team have been doing, how we've been using our own products, how we've been dog fooding essentially, and some of the features that we've been using and how we've been using it, why we've been kind of using it as well. So trying to give you a story around it and not just give you a long list of features. Does that sound okay? Hope so. Otherwise it's going to be a very boring talk. So just to give some background and to see if my clicker works. It does work. So at the moment we have 3 ambassadors. Although we have a nice team. This isn't actually the official photograph of the ambassadors, but I had some technical problems with downloading that image. So at the moment we've got the UK ambassador, which is myself. We have the Spanish ambassador and the German ambassador. So we've been going for a few months now, again basically trying to get across the message about what Atlassian does, not just in terms of our products, but in terms of how the company works, how the company reaches out to the community, so how we engage with the open source community, how we engage with all our customers, and how we engage with our partners as well. So we're just having a partner gathering this morning to talk about ways that we can work better together, again, to serve our customers better. And so we have a team based in Amsterdam that is sort of managing the ambassadors, and we have a guy called Sam who's doing a little bit of work in France as well. So this is the start of the ambassador program, right? Certainly not the end. So we're going to be investing a lot more and growing into a lot more countries. Just out of interest, is there anybody here that's not from the UK? Okay. Yes, there's a few people from Amsterdam at the back. So it's good to see people coming around to different things, and we're running different events and we're supporting different events in different countries throughout the year, and later on I'll be showing you some of the things we'll be getting up to. So where have we come from? So the ambassadors have really come from a mixed background. Some of us, we've been doing development, team leading, coaching, training. Before I started, I was doing a lot of training, coaching people in sort of agile practices, and obviously we've been kind of getting online, doing the blogging and the tweeting, which is very useful for helping us promote what we're doing at Atlassian. Again, we like to communicate quite a lot with the community and the wider audience that we have. So there's a lot of typing going on, and I'm quite thankful for spell checkers. That's quite helpful. We're also trying to build up community user groups as well. So if you actually want to get more involved in the Atlassian community, again, I'll talk about that a little bit later on. But there's opportunities there if you're interested. And also we're trying to do more customer interviews and partner interviews as well, to try and find out the interesting stories that people are doing. What are you actually doing with our products? Why are you doing stuff in a different way? How are you being successful with those products as well? We want to try and capture that and again share it with the community. So our mission, which kind of seems impossible really, is we want to get Atlassian hooked on, everybody hooked on Atlassian products. Although we're not allowed to sell anything, we're not salespeople, so it's kind of an interesting challenge. So we want to, again, spread the word about what we're doing at Atlassian, how we do things, how we do agile, how we treat our people, how we work as an organisation. All of that's kind of out there and exposed, and we want to try and get even more stories out there. So trying to encourage people to set their sights higher. So when they are thinking about the software development, thinking about delivering products, they're thinking about what's the best we can do, how can we deliver those things in the best way, thinking about the ways that they're doing things, and hopefully they'll think about our tools and say, well, okay, these tools could really help us do that. So yeah, it's going to be a challenge, but ambassadors like a challenge. So how do we do this? How do we actually reach out to people? Well, we've got a few tools to help us in that mission. So I guess a very important tools that we use are Confluence and JIRA. They're some of our main products that we sell to our customers, some of the most important products we use internally. And we're lucky enough, if you call it lucky, to be able to use all the latest features, all the latest bugs that are in the products before we release them to the wider audience. So we dog food all our products on a regular basis, so we're always getting updates to our internal systems. So we get to experience Confluence and JIRA and Greenhopper first and make sure it's working properly, and then deliver it out to our customers. So we have the external Confluence site, which we kind of share with our partners. We have an internal one which we use as an intranet, and again, we really helps encourage people to work together and collaborate, especially when we're all over the world in different countries. So I feel a lot more connected to people working in Amsterdam, people working in Sydney, and people working in San Francisco, when I can kind of collaborate with them through Confluence and through team calendars again, so we can see what people are up to. Okay. So my kind of daily stuff really is quite involved. There's a lot of things to do. Ben is my manager at the back. He keeps me very busy. And because everybody else in Atlassian wants to know what we're up to, because it's quite a new project, then we have lots of reports, lots of goals that we define. So it was a little bit of a challenge at first to say, well, how do we actually get this information across to other people? And so luckily we have the tools to be able to do it. So what I'm going to try and show you is how how the ambassador team really have taken all this reporting, all this kind of stuff that could be quite mundane, and made it really, really effective in getting our work done. Okay. So otherwise it could be quite boring. Having to manage all this is a lot of paperwork kind of thing, and if we didn't have the tool support, trying to do all this manually just through emails would be a complete nightmare. So we use the power of JIRA, use the force JIRA. So we've set up an ambassador project in JIRA, and we just really try to keep it as simple as possible. We just have a task, so we give each other tasks, we create tasks for ourselves, and we quickly enabled the Greenhopper plugin to give a nice kind of a visual way to manage all the tasks. I'm quite used to using a Kanban board, or like a wall board, to manage the work I do. So I did find JIRA a little bit too much work when we wanted to do a lot of things very quickly. Putting Greenhopper on top of that made it a lot easier interface. I could drag my stories, my tasks across very quickly. Ben could see when I was actually doing what I was doing and when I'd finished things. So it's a nice way to kind of visualize all the tasks we were doing. So JIRA 4.4 has made this a little bit more easier in terms of the actual administration, which luckily we don't have to worry about, but the people in Sydney do have to worry about. So adminning JIRA, as we'll see, is a lot easier. There's a lot more unified administration pages. I'll show you an example of that in a moment. It's much easier to install JIRA. And again, we do demos, so installing on a laptop, we really appreciate the fact that it's a lot easier to install JIRA now. And even doing updates, we don't have to do this whole huge backup process, even for like demo systems we're doing. It makes it a lot quicker for us and also for the customers to be able to install new instances or update existing instances. So we're trying to give you less reasons to not upgrade to the latest version as well. What I'll also show you is like some of the extra things we've done to make it easier to just work with JIRA, and to actually find things in JIRA as well, and actually manage the workflow in a much easier way as well. We've got a new visual workflow editor that does the workflow just so much easier. So if you can see, that's not the best view, but basically this is the admin dashboard. So we kind of unified all this information in one place. So you can go to the dashboard, see all your issue types, see all the, you can do your people administration, see who's actually assigned roles in that project you set up, and so it's very easy to get all the information you need to as an administrator. Even for us, when we're using it, we get a read-only view on our project in JIRA, so we can see what task types have been set up. Again, if we want to think about what other task types we want at the moment, we've just got tasks, but this is the marketing one, so we could add tasks for blogs and so on, and maybe borrow some other ideas about task types, just to make it easier to manage all the activities that we have going on. And we've also kind of used just the default workflow. We've kept the simplest possible workflow we could have, and we've tried to make sure that we don't make it too complicated. Again, we're not really building software, so our workflow is quite simple. So we've not artificially added extra things in. There is a big temptation to do that, but especially when you think about all the things you could add into JIRA, and you can do some wonderfully brilliant and amazing and complex things, but the more you put into it, the more you have to kind of maintain that. And while we've been giving you some more things, again, you need to think about, do we really need to add all the extra features? Do we really need to have all these extra workflows? So what we're doing currently at the moment is just using labels on each issue to try and work out if we actually need any more issue types. So do we need anything else other than tasks? So we've put labels on about whether we're doing a blog, whether we're doing so on, and then we can go back and review the project and say, well, we're always creating this, we're always adding these labels, so maybe we should create them as an issue. One of the common problems is that people create these workflows and then they forget what to do, or somebody else has created them and nobody else knows what's going on. So maybe a manager comes along and says, well, we just want to make a simple change to the workflow, but then only one person kind of knows what that workflow does, and unfortunately they're on holiday, or they've been run over by a bus, or some other reason they're not there. So how do you actually get to do a quick change to your workflow if you can't really see it? This is one of the reasons why we created the visual workflow editor. So it's very easy, and I'll show you a bit more of an animated demo towards the end about how you can actually very easily see what's going on in your workflow, and then very easily kind of change that workflow on the fly. And it's just using the visual editor makes it so much easier to work with workflows and see how complex it is, and consider whether you actually want to scale down the complexity or not. Luckily, as ambassadors, again, we haven't really created anything that complex, so we're not yet anyway. So. Also, finding things was a little bit tricky. The JIRA queries can look a little bit scary when you first try and you click that search button and you go in and you're not quite sure what to type. What we've done with JIRA now is enabled this kind of autocomplete. If you've ever done any command line stuff, you can tab and you can get auto completion on. It gives you a clue about what you're actually typing. Same thing in reporting. When you're searching for something, you can start typing in, say you want a project. So if you want to look up a particular project, narrow your search down to the ambassador project. You can type POR, and it starts giving you a list about all the things that you could be typing. So you know that you can look up something based on project. It's a field in JIRA. And then the more you keep on typing, it gives you lots of suggestions. Look, just like you would be in Google, you would start typing something and it starts giving you suggestions. And again, like Google, as you're sort of building up that query, it's actually giving you the results right there. And so it's very easy to go back and change your query, and you're getting lots of feedback about whether you're actually typing that search query in the correct way. So I did this after not doing queries for a while, and I found it very, very easy to do. And I'll show you some queries that I created, again, to make it very easy to report on exactly what I was doing. So this is, again, so I basically worked this out without actually looking at any documentation, just by using autocomplete on the JIRA search. I basically said, well, okay, well, I wanted to look for things for me, so I kind of looked up role, and I realized that I needed assignee because it was giving me the wrong results. The fixed version is just, we use 1 week iterations, so again, we don't like to plan too much within that week because everything changes so often, so we only do 1 week iterations. And then obviously I wanted to narrow everything down to ambassadors. I didn't want to get tickets that I'd raised for our system administration people. I only wanted to see things that were part of our project. So it's narrowing down the scope, and again it makes the results a lot quicker, and it gets the results back that I wanted. So I worked all that out just by trying a few things. It took me less than a minute to come up with a query I wanted without having to go through any of the documentation. So it's a really nice thing that the autocomplete does. It allows you to find things, work out how to find things by yourself, if you're not afraid to just experiment a little bit. And the nice thing you do, you can save these queries, so you can go back to them again and again. So even if you don't want to learn it, you can just forget this stuff and save them. You can also export all this thing just by pressing a button, and reuse all these queries in Confluence, and I'll show you that later on. And some people still think JIRA is a little bit complex. Again, when you first see JIRA, you might see a lot of forms and stuff. If it's straight out of the box, nobody's customized it for your situation, then you might think there's a lot of fields that you actually have to edit. But if you actually look closer, then most of the things in there is just optional. So some people, if you don't customize it, they don't get a great experience up front. Again, our partners usually do a very good job to tailor JIRA to our needs, but we can't serve it out of the box for everybody, unfortunately. So we've got a new way to edit an issue. So when you click on edit in the new version of JIRA, you can actually have your own customized view of that form. So you can basically drag and drop the sections you want. It's not showing up very well here, but so here we've got a much more simplified version of the form that you would see in a normal web page, and it's giving us little red indicators about which parts of the form we need to fill in. And what you can actually do, which doesn't show up here very well, you can actually drag and drop extra sections on and off this form. So you can take off all the things that you're not interested in filling in for a particular issue, and just have it as simple as possible. So you can have the simplest possible form you want, and it will remember what you've added and what you've removed. So you only need to do this once. So you don't have to wait for your system administrator to configure JIRA in the way you want it. You can do it yourself as you're going along. So this makes a very easy way to interact with JIRA, and hopefully makes the user experience a lot nicer. Of course, people who are already using Greenhopper know that there's a much easier way to actually create new issues, and that's just using Greenhopper itself. So you can, again, just create a new issue in Greenhopper. I just fill in the summary, and the component, we have that by region, so I would select the UK. So I fill in the summary of what it is I want to do. I select UK, and then I press create. And that's my issue created. I don't need to do anything else except actually do the work. So it's very easy, again, to raise a whole load of things in my backlog Again, Ben can do this, and all the other ambassadors can raise work for me, and I can get a nice big long list of things in my planning board and work out then which ones I'm going to do. So I don't really have an excuse saying I forgot to do something, because it's always in JIRA, it's always there. I just need to get around to plan it and then do it. And so this is, again, just another quick shot of a typical sort of week in my work. So this is just using the task board. So this is like a Kanban board, like a wall board you would have in an agile team. And so I've got a couple of things in progress, so Ben can know what I'm working on. I've got a few things done, so that he doesn't actually have to ask me what I've done this week. You can see it very, very clearly there. And these are the few things out of my big backlog that I've decided I'm going to kind of work on this week. And so again, everybody knows what I'm doing, what I've done, and what I'm probably going to do this week. And even Darth Vader uses Greenhopper, so we can't all be wrong. There is some nice videos about how we've actually started to use Greenhopper in an even more interactive way. So if you're still not sure between using a digital wallboard and a physical wallboard, we're working on technology now where you can get the best of both. So you can actually control a digital wallboard just by using your hands, and you get the same kind of experience as well. So that's a little bit in the future. Well, as we're building the Death Star as well. So, okay. And if you think using Greenhopper or using the simple editor in JIRA, all this is still too much and it's still too technical a view. Maybe you've got stakeholders that just don't want to see anything that looks remotely technical. Again, you can always bury all this into a nice looking simple Confluence page, maybe using the JIRA issue gadget, which we'll show some examples of later. So I'm just going to test the sound out and see if we can get some videos, and I'm just going to give you a summary of some of those features in a video in moving format. Let's see if this works. I think so. Let's see. I don't know if this is going to have sound.
Time-saving features for both end users and administrators. The most powerful part of JIRA 4.4 for all users are the enhancements we've made to JQL, JIRA's query language. In JIRA 4.4, we've added searching the change history of the assignee and reporter fields. This means you can now pull queries such as, what are all the issues that were ever assigned to QA for version 4.4? We've also added some new dates. You pull searches for things that happened before, after, on, or during a certain time. Here, we're searching for the issues that QA was still reviewing at the end of the month. The last enhancement to JQL is searching based on who performed an action. Here, I can search for all the issues transitioned by Brian, or any combination of one user assigning things to another. User time zones is one of the highest voted feature requests for JIRA of all time. On an issue, I can see that the dates and times are all displayed in my local time zone. There are also indicators which show whether it is day or night for another user. JIRA 4.4 has new emails as well. The new templates thread better in mail clients like Gmail and display better on mobile. Finally, end users can view the workflow for a particular issue and see which step the issue is currently in. This view is provided by the new Visual Workflow Designer, which we'll dive into in the next section. All of JIRA administration has a new look that makes it easier to navigate to the things you do most and easy to get a handle on projects at a glance. You can see at the top there is a dedicated admin quick search to navigate. I'll go to my list of projects next. And when I jump into a particular project, I no longer need to click into each object to see things individually. All of the details, including which issue types, workflows, people, components, and versions are associated with this project, are front and center. This makes it easy to get a handle on the specifics. I'll show you a quick preview of some of the tabs here. First, I'll click into Versions, where I can edit and make changes inline. Next, I'll jump over to Issue Types, where I can see the 6 issue types associated with this project and which fields and screens each is using. Next, I'll head over to the Workflow tab. So, from the Workflow tab, I can see whether a workflow is shared with other projects, and I can see the individual steps and transitions below. But the most exciting part is the Workflow Designer. If I click into Edit mode and make a draft, you can see here that I can drag to move things around, delete steps, and drag over a new status to add a step. You can do more advanced things in the Workflow Designer that weren't possible in JIRA before. For example, here I'm deleting the step that takes me from in progress to open. I'll instead make that a global transition, so it would now be available from all of the steps in this workflow. The last thing I'll mention is that JIRA 4.4 has a new setup, installation, and upgrade wizard that includes configuring an external database. The new upgrader includes settings to move things for you, such as commonly modified files, and a customization report to show you added, modified, or removed files from the current installation. That concludes our demo of the highlights of JIRA 4.4. JIRA 4.4 enhances productivity and makes it faster and easier to get information from JIRA. There's tons more to check out, so upgrade today.
That's a bit of a plug there. I forgot that was in there. Yeah, so there's a lot of things to cover, and again, we'll cover some things today, but there's a lot more to JIRA and to explore, and we keep adding new features as well. We've just had a JIRA 4.1 release with a few extra tweaks in there. It's not just bug fixes, there's a few more features in there as well. So it's very hard even for me to keep up with those things. So again, we try and publish a lot of things on the web, and we have a great YouTube channel as well, which has a lot of information for you to go and look at the specific things you're interested in. So let's have a quick look at Confluence. So Confluence 4 out today. Again, we've been lucky enough as ambassadors and internal people in Atlassian to have been using this for quite a while now. I think I've been using Confluence for the last 6-9 months, or if that's how it feels like. I'm certainly really loving the new editor. I think it's a great experience, and lots of really handy, useful new things as well inside there. So again, as I mentioned before, we're using Confluence really to really help that communication. And when you're a global company, you really need like a tool to help you get the information flowing, get people talking to each other. Again, even sometimes, even inside a big organization, even if you're sitting a few desks away, sometimes you need that kind of tool to help you, encourage you to share and to communicate, and to do it effectively as well, because everybody's busy, everybody's doing their own things. But sometimes when you communicate, you can help each other get your own jobs done, get each other's work done. So it's communication certainly helps us get our work done much more effectively. So we have our own space on Confluence, and again, you also get your own personal space where I've been doing things as we've been setting up our ambassador space. We typically give everybody free reign. There's an audit trail, so if people delete something, we can see that as well, and we can recover it. So it's usually much easier. Again, it helps build up trust if everybody knows that they can have access, they can update whatever pages they want. And again, there's just a few odd pages that we'll keep personal and sensitive, so we'll put a few extra protections on there. But most of it is kind of shared to the world, because we want people to come along and get involved with what we're doing, and we also want to be able to get them to give us their stories, give us their information, give us their content, really. So what did I do? First thing I did was set up my own homepage, which got my contact details. People know where I was. People knew I was kind of mainly based in the UK, and they could see what kind of documents I was editing. and we can follow each other like you do on Twitter, except it's all internally. And it helps me kind of plan activities, and again, people plan activities around events. So I've got lots of partner meetings around this event we're having today, and it helps everybody I work with see where I am and what I'm doing very easily. So I try to come up with interesting ways to do that. So here's a quick shot of my homepage. So basically just describing what I am, what I've been doing, what I used to do before I joined Atlassian, what kind of communities I'm involved in. And also we've got like an activity stream here, which shows all the recent documents I've been working on. There's my kind of Twitter-like network, who I'm following, who I find interesting inside the Atlassian, who thinks I'm interesting, and yeah, just some basic contact details. So everybody knows my phone number. Everybody in the room knows my phone number now. Please don't ring me at night. I do need to sleep occasionally. And then there is the hierarchy of all the content I've created over the last few months. So again, I try and kind of review this and try and make it as useful as possible for everybody to know what I'm doing. And I created a whole bunch of links there. There's all the quick links, all the really important stuff I'm working on there. So it's a really useful tool for everybody to go in and see what other people are involved in, and again helps build connections within the organisation. So, like most agile teams, the ambassadors do a daily stand-up. So because we're all in different places, we used to use Skype, but as more of us came online, we're now using Google Hangout. So if we get more than 10 people, that might be a problem. So, but for now, we can kind of chat about things. But if you're just kind of doing the kind of stand-ups, they could be quite boring if you're just doing reporting on what I did yesterday and what I'm going to do today. So we try and talk about more interesting things, what we're learning, try and talk to each other as human beings and not just reporting back to Ben. We did this, Ben, we did that, Ben. And because it's boring for him, it's not interesting for us. We're not kind of learning anything. So what we can do is allow the tools to kind of do that reporting for us, and we can talk about interesting things ourselves. Because we don't want to have a really boring meeting. It's not fun for everybody. And it's quite easy actually to do that if you're actually doing a video chat, so you can just kind of move the laptop and have a little bit of sleep while somebody's not looking. And then when it's your turn, you can turn it back on again. I usually have breakfast when other people are talking on the video line, if we haven't kind of sorted out a good rapport. So one of the ways I kind of use the tools to manage this reporting is, as it's all in JIRA, it's all there. We can present it in Confluence in a nice page. So we can, any of the searches that we set up, we can use that UML to easily create a nice view of our work in progress, for example. So here I have a page on Confluence, and it just basically lists all the things I'm currently working on. It shows the priority of them and shows whether I've actually finished them. This probably was taken towards the end of the week because it looks like I've resolved everything. And it's just a very simple, easy way to show what I'm working on that week and my progress through that week. And anybody, whether it be Ben or whether it be the CEO or anybody who's actually at Atlassian, can come along and have a look and very quickly understand what I'm working on without worrying about having a technical user interface. And because I'm using some of the date-related new date-related features now, I never need to update this. It automatically updates it every time you go to the page. It will just pick up whatever week it is and just display my work in progress for that week. So I never have to edit this. I never have to go and visit this page ever again, which is good for me. It says me I can get on with some actual work rather than having to do a report every week. And same with this example here. What we're showing is, again, just what I've done in any particular week. So we go by weekly iterations, as I mentioned. And again, anybody can see like the whole history of what I've been doing that quarter. Again, I just create a page for every quarter, and it just shows all the lists, a list of all the things I've done each week. And again, I just just add it, use a query, and I'm done. So it takes me 2 minutes to do this, rather than like the 20 minutes it might have done without these tools. So again, this is all just using the JIRA issue gadget. And so created a new Confluence page, went to the macro browser, the gadget browser, selected JIRA issues, and just put in this very long, complicated URL, which is easily generated from this query, and then I'm done, really. And all I have to decide is how it's presented, what columns I want to show to people. And then if I want to do more long-term planning, again, I can use Confluence. I can use some of the other stuff that's built into Confluence. Again, have an even simpler kind of view. So here, again, I've just got a table, which are really easy to create in Confluence. So I've got a table. I'm just using emoticons to kind of denote what activities, what are the big activities, the big kind of epics, the big goals I've kind of been satisfying. And I do that per quarter and per year, and using kind of a nice key to make it nice and easy for somebody to very quickly see what kind of goals we're working on. So which kind of conferences I'm speaking at. So here it's denoting that I'm speaking at Agile Cambridge. So again, it's very easy for somebody to come along and see what I'm up to. And here's an example of, again, how somebody getting creative and just putting lots of different gadgets on a Confluence page, and really creating an information dashboard, really. And again, it's there are so many macros out there. We could have a whole kind of afternoon event just based on those, and we still wouldn't get through them all. So there's plenty to go off and explore. So you might see that you might have heard that Confluence has a very different editor than what it had before. In previous versions, you basically had two editors. You had the rich text editor, that what you see is what you get, and then if you wanted to do something a bit more whiz-bang, then you had to go into the wiki markup editor, and that's when things might have started going a bit more complicated. Now what we've actually done is just there's only one editor. So you don't really see the wiki markup, but you can still use it. So you actually have a nice, what you see is what you get editor, but if you know your wiki markup, you can drop some things in and it will basically translate them on the fly. So you can basically inject a little bit of wiki markup into that things, but you don't get a separate editor to go and create the whole structure. So it makes it much easier for everybody to learn how to use it. And even for experienced people, as we showed at Summit, it's a lot quicker to actually create that content than actually having to go through all the wiki markup stuff. So again, here's a screenshot, and again, there's a very nice series of articles on this on Atlassian.com. But basically, you've got a context-sensitive toolbar. So if you're creating a table, then you get all the extra table icons that you can control about which parts of the table are highlighted, adding a new column, adding a new row, etc. So it's very easy to create a very interesting document, a very detailed document that's well presented using this what you see is what you get editor. So again, it's an experience like Word, but without all the hang-ups you get with Word, really. And you can also put in all these really cool visual macros. So you can identify, you can show status of something. So if you have a whole load of issues, you can put status macros on there to show whether they're out of date or whether they're high priority or low priority. So again, the only kind of limit really is your imagination. And showing that, so let's show a quick demo of that. So that's just again just a very quick taster of how powerful the editor is. You really have to try it really before to really get the full experience. It's just great. Basically, I can't really say anything more than that really. And again, there'll be some more examples of people using that later on today. Team Calendars is something else that's very useful. Again, it's another example of a great plugin. I think like Greenhopper is a great plugin for JIRA. I think Team Calendars is one of those essential plugins for Confluence. So you can plan people, you can plan events, you can plan things that are actually in JIRA as well. And it's just really nice. And you can also import things from Google Calendars. So if you've got everything already in Google Calendar, then you can reuse all that information and pull it into Confluence very easily without any effort. So let's just show a quick demo of that.
Team Calendars for Confluence is your single source of truth for the people, projects, and content in your organization. You may already use a personal calendar, such as iCal, Google, or Outlook, to manage your meetings, workouts, and hot dates. But how do you keep your team on the same page, functioning as a single unit? A lot of work we do revolves around people, projects, and content. Now you can track them all in one place that's tightly integrated with the Atlassian tools you use every day, Confluence and JIRA. People calendars make it easy for you to schedule team leave, travel, and create rosters. It's easy to create a new people calendar, add a new event to the calendar to show that you'll be in Paris for a week, and then share it with your team so they can contribute their planned leave to the calendar too. When all is said and done, you might have a team calendar that looks like this. People calendars keep track of your team so that you don't have to. Now that we know when the team will be on leave, let's see how it impacts our current projects tracked in JIRA. In just a few clicks, you can add an existing team calendar. Let's take a closer look by switching to the list view. Looks like there's a conflict with the upcoming release. According to the people calendar, 2 key team members are on leave. It's quick to get into JIRA and reschedule the release to resolve the conflict. Combine people and project calendars so your team never skips another beat. Where there's people and projects, there's also events. The marketing team uses event calendars to plan their next big campaign. Thanks to team calendars, it's easy to identify scheduling conflicts, like a marketing launch scheduled before a product is released. Rescheduling events is easy with drag and drop simplicity. Team calendars is connected to your content, so you can always dive deeper into the detailed plans you create in Confluence. Training sessions, company events, office holidays, event calendars handles it all. Team Calendars also offers integration with some of your favorite personal calendars. You can import data from Google Calendar into your team calendar, and you can import data from your team calendar into iCal and Outlook. Team Calendars connects your people, projects, and events, so you can collaborate around team schedules like never before.
Okay, so I really like Team Calendars. It really helps me organise things, and I do get the odd holiday every now and again. So it's nice to know when I can get away and make sure I don't go away on whenever we're doing kind of an event or launch kind of thing, because I get my hand slapped for that. Okay, so there's lots of other stuff in Confluence 4. Again, I really don't have enough time to go through all this. It's going to be all day. But yeah, context-sensitive mentions are mentioned. Again, it's a really nice table editor toolbar. You can embed all sorts of content in there. You can drag and drop content in there, from PowerPoint slides to videos. You can just basically, from your file browser, just drag it in straight into Confluence. Again, it's using HTML5, so it just works. You don't have to worry about anything. The macro browser, all your gadgets that you want to put into your page, you can very quickly browse through those. You can just search through those very quickly. And again, there's a status macro. Again, it's really quite neat. Again, if you want to highlight stuff to your project managers about what's in danger of going over budget or over time, kind of thing, it's very easy to add. And again, just all these kind of things you can add to make get the information across very quickly and easily. So the big picture, one of the next things we want to do maybe is also use, at the moment we're using the JIRA dashboard to get some idea about what's actually happening with all our tasks, whether we're actually overloading ourselves or not. But we could also use the JIRA wallboard plugin as well, and maybe, again, just visualize that so it's very easy to see how the project's going, how the ambassador project's going, and how we're progressing through all our tasks. We also, I've not got time to cover this now, but we also started using Bonfire, which is our testing tool. Again, as we're using all these things internally, they're new versions, and there is occasionally a little bug. Sometimes I start using Bonfire to just highlight when something isn't quite right, or I think there's an issue. And basically, what Bonfire really does, it just allows us, again, it creates an issue straight away for us in JIRA. We don't have to go into JIRA to create that issue. We just basically connect it to a particular project in JIRA, and say the Confluence development project, and we can basically very quickly report on things that we think are wrong with JIRA, and the guys know all the information because we can take screenshots of exactly what's going. We can highlight any potential issues, and we can even put some text on as well. So we could actually raise an issue without really typing anything at all. And again, it gets to that fast feedback kind of loop that's quite nice. So what's next for the ambassadors? Again, we'll be doing a lot of extra things in the community. So basically trying to get more customer interviews from yourselves, from partners, anybody you're kind of working with. If you've got something interesting to say, then we're quite happy. We want to find those stories. We want to help you share those things. And we'll be doing a lot of online promotions and stuff. Again, trying to get some more stories about what people are doing with JIRA 4.4 and Confluence 4 and all the next versions. Maybe what we're thinking about for the next versions of JIRA and Confluence. Also trying to reach out to the universities as well. It's something I'm kind of doing in the UK to help developers understand, again, how to do software development really well. What are really good things to do in that kind of space. And Atlassian User Group, I've got a slide on that in a minute. So these are the kind of things that we are doing in the next few months. We're going to lots of conferences on your behalf, again, to promote Atlassian. And hopefully we'll like to see some of you there and have discussions about what you're doing with our products and what you're doing in general in software development. So we've got quite a busy schedule, so the team calendars comes in very handy to help us manage these things, because we have to not only go to the events, but we have to plan sponsorship and plan if we're going to submit talks to speak at these things as well. So there's an awful lot of work to actually do, even if we're just attending these things. And if you do want to get involved more seriously in stuff, there's plenty of opportunities to get involved in Atlassian user groups. We have an Atlassian user group hopefully starting in Bath, Bristol area very soon. People have mentioned that somebody in Reading is quite interested in starting a group. And a few other people have mentioned something, but we're just trying to encourage people to get involved. And again, it's yet another way to help you share experiences and get you the answers that you need for the things you're actually doing. And also, the more you share, the more ideas you get about what you can actually do with our tools and in the general industry as well. So if you want to talk about the community stuff, then please come and ask me, or you can go to the Atlassian website there as well. I'm quite happy to talk to you about what's involved. I think I'm just about to run out of time. So again, some of the things we'll be doing at these conferences are giving out lots of beer. We've got the Atlas beer brand. We'll also give out a few t-shirts. I think we might have a few t-shirts here today. And so the takeaways really leave you with is JIRA 4.4. Again, we try to make that as easy as possible for you to use. Easy admin, easy using, with with Greenhopper it's even easier, and same with Confluence. With the new editor, it's so much easier to create really exciting content. Team calendars easier to organize yourselves. With all the gadgets, there's several hundred kind of gadgets, all in different categories, again to make the content you're creating very